This is not the outcome we wanted or we worked so hard for, and I'm sorry that we did not win this election for the values we share and the vision we hold for our country.
Hillary Rodham Clinton delivering her concession speech the day after losing last year's presidential election. She looks back on her campaign in a new book out this week, What Happened, published by Simon & Schuster, a CBS company. On Friday, I sat down for a talk with Mrs. Clinton at her suburban home outside New York City. So I'm wondering, how are you?
I think I am good, but that doesn't mean that I am complacent or resolved about what happened. It still is very painful. It hurts a lot.
Hillary Rodham Clinton has spent the last 10 months trying to figure out why she isn't President of the United States.
Can we talk about Election Day?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any clue what the outcome of that day would be?
No.
As the polls closed, Clinton's supporters gathered in a New York City convention center, expecting to see history being made. But as the returns came in, the celebratory mood began to fade.
You know, I just kind of went into the bedroom, laid down on the bed, just thought, okay, I just have to wait this out. But then midnight, I decided, well, looks like it's not going to work.
After midnight, she called Donald Trump, the president-elect. And then she called the White House.
You called the president.
I did. I felt like I had let everybody down.
Morning came, and the nation was waiting to hear from her.
I had not drafted a concession speech. I'd been working on a victory speech.
Our best days are still ahead of us.
And then on what she thought would be her first day as president-elect, Hillary and Bill Clinton headed back home to Chappaqua, New York.
I just felt this enormous letdown, this kind of loss of feeling and direction and sadness. And, Bill just kept saying, oh, that was a terrific speech, trying to just kind of bolster me a little bit. Off I went into a frenzy of closet cleaning and long walks in the woods and playing with my dogs and yoga, alternate nostril breathing, which I highly recommend, trying to calm myself down, and, my share of Chardonnay. It was a very hard transition. I really struggled. I couldn't feel, I couldn't think. I was just gobsmacked, wiped out.
Weeks passed, but she couldn't remain in seclusion forever.
After the first of the year, I had a big decision to make. Was I going to go to the inauguration?
Well, defeated candidates don't necessarily show up.
No.
But you're a former First Lady.
But I'm a former First Lady, and former presidents and First Ladies show up. It's part of the demonstration of the continuity of our government. And so there I was on the platform, feeling like an out-of-body experience. And then his speech, which was a cry from the white nationalist gut.
This American carnage stops.
What an opportunity to say, okay, I'm proud of my supporters, but I'm the president of all Americans. That's not what we heard at all.
Clinton had been so sure she'd be the one giving that inaugural speech.
You specifically bought this house for a reason.
I did.
And this was to be?
Well, I know a lot about what it takes to move a president, and I thought I was going to win.
The Clintons had acquired the house next door to accommodate White House staff and security during a second Clinton administration.
And doesn't it kind of haunt you that...
No, I'm very happy we did it.
At a dining room table in that house, she wrote about what happened.
I couldn't get the job done, and I'll have to live with that for the rest of my life.
So what did happen? Hillary Clinton was supposed to make history as the first woman president of the United States.
I started the campaign knowing that I would have to work extra hard to make women and men feel comfortable with the idea of a woman president. It doesn't fit into the stereotypes we all carry around in our head. And a lot of the sexism and the misogyny was in service of these attitudes like, we really don't want a woman commander-in-chief.
I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. I tell you that.
Her opponent? Real estate billionaire and reality TV star Donald Trump.
You're fired.
A political novice who had previously defeated 16 GOP primary challengers.
We will make America great again.
He was quite successful in referencing a nostalgia that would give hope, comfort, settle grievances for millions of people who were upset about gains that were made by others.
What you're saying is millions of white people.
Millions of white people, yeah, millions of white people.
And then the Russians. American intelligence began picking up signals that Moscow was attempting to influence the election in Trump's favor, both by hacking into Democratic National Committee emails and by spreading false information online.
The forces that were at work in 2016 were unlike anything that I've ever seen or read about. It was a perfect storm.
I should have used 2 emails. One
But there were
personal,
serious
one,
self-inflicted wounds,
for
too.
work.
Were there things that had you not, but for that, you might be the president?
Oh, I think the most important of the mistakes I made was using personal email.
I never sent or received any classified material.
A stream of explanations for her decision to use a private email server while she was Secretary of State never satisfied critics or the press.
I've said it before, I'll say it again, that was my responsibility. It was presented in such a negative way, and I never could get out from under it, and it never stopped.
Not even after the director of the FBI, James Comey, cleared her of any criminal charges.
We cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts.
While adding a postscript that stuck.
There is evidence that they were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information.
I don't know quite what audience he was playing to other than maybe some, right-wing commentators, right-wing members of Congress, whatever.
The email investigation appeared to be over until late October.
Any reaction to the FBI investigation?
With early voting already underway in some states, traces of Clinton's emails were discovered on a home computer of the estranged husband of her close aide, Huma Abedin. Anthony Weiner was the former congressman who was being investigated in a sexting scandal.
11 days before the election.
11 days before the election, and it raised the specter that somehow the investigation was being reopened. It just stopped my momentum. Now remember this too, Jane. At the same time he does that, about a closed investigation, there's an open investigation into the Trump campaign and their connections with Russia. You never hear a word about it. And when asked later, he goes, well, it was too close to the election. Now, help me make sense of that. I can't understand it.
No new improprieties were discovered, but Clinton believes Comey's 11th hour intrusion cost her the election. And then there was the harm she believes was done by Bernie Sanders, her fiery populist primary opponent.
She has given speeches on Wall Street.
She writes, his attacks caused lasting damage, making it harder to unify progressives in the general election and paving the way for Trump's crooked Hillary campaign.
No, she's crooked, folks. She's crooked as a $3 bill.
But Hillary Clinton looks inward, too, acknowledging a tone that didn't fit the political landscape of 2016.
I understood that there were many Americans who, because of the financial crash, there was anger and there was resentment. I knew that. But I believed that it was my responsibility to try to offer answers to it, not to fan it. I think, Jane, that it was a mistake because a lot of people didn't want to hear my plans. They wanted me to share their anger. And I should have done a better job of demonstrating I get it.
There were some memorable verbal gaffes, too.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
Why do you think that word deplorable had been circulating in your mind?
Well, I thought Trump was behaving in a deplorable manner. I thought a lot of his appeals to voters were deplorable. I thought his behavior, as we saw on the Access Hollywood tape, was deplorable. And there were a large number of people who didn't care. It did not matter to them. And he turned out to be a very effective reality TV star in our presidential campaign.
When you said basket of deplorables, you energized.
No, but they were already energized.
But you offended some people who didn't personally feel deplorable at all.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I'm sorry I gave him a political gift of any kind.
That was a gift.
But I don't think that was determinative.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the to do anything.
As the campaign entered its final month, the now infamous Access Hollywood tape surfaced.
Melania said this was okay.
2 days later, Clinton and Trump meet in their second debate.
After we heard him admitting and laughing about sexually assaulting women and being able to get away with it because if you're a star, you can do anything. So in my debate prep, we practiced this. The young man playing Trump would stalk me. And I practiced keeping my composure. I practiced not getting rattled. Well, it's one thing to practice it. It's another thing to be in front of, 50, 60, 70 million people and having him scowling and leering and moving up on me. And it was so discombobulating. And so while I'm answering questions, my mind is going, okay, do I keep my composure? Do I act like a president?
What he said was extremely unwise.
Or do I wheel around and say, get out of my space, back up, you creep? Well, I didn't do the latter. But I think in this time we're in, and particularly in this campaign, maybe I missed a few chances.
Is your political career over?
Yes. As an active politician, it's over.
You will never be a candidate for office?
I am done with being a candidate, but I am not done with politics because I literally believe that our country's future is at stake.
You represent the best of America, and being your candidate has been one of the greatest honors of my life.
In the end, Hillary Rodham Clinton still seems gobsmacked by what happened. She dishes out blame, and she accepts responsibility. But while she's proud of her effort, she writes she was running a traditional presidential campaign, while Trump was running a reality show.
We have a reality show that leads to the election of a president. He ends up in the Oval Office. He says, boy, it's so much harder than I thought it would be. This is really tough. I had no idea. Well, yeah, because it's not a show. It's real. It's reality for sure.